Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of Scott's Selections here for Thursday, October 10th. Before we get into today's play of the day, we'll quickly recap what happened yesterday. We ended up giving out a play of the day on another Saturday college football matchup between Navy and Tulsa. And if you have not checked out that video already, you can check that out as that game will be taking place on Saturday. Now, in terms of today's card on Thursday, I originally thought about giving out something on baseball in the Astros-Rays game, decided not to do it. Thought about giving something out on the football game between the Patriots and the Giants. It's a little bit tricky. I was thinking about doing a player prop, but the Patriots injury report's always up in the air as they list everybody as questionable, and you don't really know who's going to play. So I didn't really want to wait until an hour before kickoff to find out the official injury report to see who was playing and not, just to give out a video. So for that reason, I'll give out my leans on those games, though. Those will be starting relatively shortly. In terms of baseball, I have to lean to the Astros. I'm going to give out a play the day after, by the way. I'm just giving that out because of the fact that those two games will start relatively shortly. I like the Astros, of course, just based on the fact that I know the Dodgers choked yesterday, but Houston at home is insane. I've seen Houston before in the playoffs struggle on the road like they did against my Yankees a couple of years ago. Went down 3-2, went back home, smacked them. I feel like Houston just at Minute Maid Park just going to kill this team. Props to Glass now. I think he's a solid pitcher, but it's going to be his second playoff start. He was okay in his first one, and now he's got a short leash, and he will be pitching in a winner-go-home game against somebody who had 15 strikeouts in game 2. I question Tampa here being able to score on the road. I think this game should be close for a little while, but at the end of the day, I think Houston's bats will wake up, and I think that Houston should be able to get to Glass now and Snell. I think this game should end somewhere in the realm of, 4-2, 5-2, something like that. But I think the Astros should win, and that's my thought on that game. So lean to Houston there. Not really a bold lean by any means, taking the minus 255 team. But, I mean, if you bet Tampa and they win, then props to you. There's definitely value on Tampa. But at the same point, Houston has been the best team in the league all season long. They've been the best home team all season long. I wouldn't go against them. So for me, lean to the Astros and a little bit of a lean to the over, just based on the fact that if Cole or Glass now struggles, I expect both managers to have a relatively quick leash on the starters. Cole maybe not as much because Cole's been their second ace all season long, and the Astros haven't lost a start of his. And I believe his last 15, I believe he's either won or the Astros have won in his last 15 starts, which is insane, as he just doesn't lose. But overall, if he ends up giving up 3 runs and I'd say the first 4 innings, you could potentially pull him. And then at that point, you could have some runs later on. So I'll lean to the over there. I think 7's a little bit too low in that home run derby park in Minute Maid. Lean to the over in that one. Other than that, though, looking at the football game between the Giants and the Patriots, I gave out some leans on that yesterday, but I'll do that once again. Lean to New England minus 16.5. I just can't take the Giants here. I know it's a lot of points. I know the weather's going to be terrible. But at the same point, I really don't know how the Giants are going to score in this game. I know that Daniel Jones has looked okay in some spots, but now he's got no Shepard, no Ingram. Barkley's still injured. Gallman's now out. They got Golden Tate back. Congratulations. I don't really see how this team's going to score more than 7 points. I think if they're going to score, they need the Giants' defense to potentially force some turnovers. And if you've watched the Giants' defense so far this season, that never happens, and if it does, it happens against the Redskins, so that doesn't really mean anything. Giants' defense is terrible. I think Brady will take care of the ball. I think it'll be relatively boring. This game should be over by halftime, and I think the Patriots will run the ball down the Giants' throats in the second half. But in terms of the game, totals at 43. It actually was at 41, and I believe it was at 41.5. It was definitely 42 at some point. Money has started to pour in on the over with about an hour left before kickoff, as it is currently up to 43, pretty much market wide. Based on my thoughts on that, I'm still going to lean to the under. I know money's coming in on the over for some last minute thoughts. Maybe they just thought there was value on the buyback. But as a whole, I can't take the over with the Giants. I know that the Giants' defense is bad, but the weather is definitely going to play a factor. I don't know if these teams are going to settle for field goals. Field position might be a huge battle. I don't know if they're going to be able to complete long passes with the wind and the rain. So I think you should see a decent amount of short slants and handoffs and stuff that'll eat up a lot of clock. So I'll lean to the under. In terms of my score prediction for this game, I think New England will win somewhere in the realm of, I'll say 30-7, 31-7. I think this game's going to be boring. And I think that after we were blessed with a couple of very solid Thursday night games back-to-back weeks. I think this one's going to go back to being a dud, and I personally think this game will be over relatively early, but lean to the Patriots and the under. Now, in terms of the play of the day, which I will get into now, sorry if some of you were waiting for the play of the day, we're going to be going back to college football on Saturday in an underdog here. And the reason why I'm giving it out now is money's already started to come in on the underdog, and I definitely think that this line should continue to drop, so I will be giving it out now. It'll actually be on a money line. I usually give out the spreads for underdogs, but I definitely think this team should win outright. And it will be on the Fresno State Bulldogs versus the Air Force Falcons. And we like the road team here in the Fresno State Bulldogs on the money line at plus 140 at FanDuel. And the main reason why we like this game is just based on the fact that it's a very good spot for Fresno State. Fresno State, after coming off back-to-back conference title game appearances, conference game title last year, back-to-back 10-win seasons, they did switch quarterbacks, but they started the year 0-2. They lost at USC, very close game by 8 points. They were trying to get into the end zone late in the game, got intercepted in the end zone with about a minute to go, very close there. Lost in double overtime to an undefeated Minnesota team that is still undefeated, and they lost in double overtime there. Probably should have won, a couple of late conversions there. Then they ended up beating cupcake opponents in Sacramento State and New Mexico State. Then they had a bye. And one thing that you know about Air Force that they love to run the triple option. I mentioned before that the main thing that you need to have in order to beat the triple option or at least stop it is preparation time. We saw that in various weeks. Just pretty much every opponent Air Force and Navy play during the year tends to get overwhelmed by the option because they don't have enough time to prepare. Fresno State's had an extra week of preparation. Meanwhile, Air Force is coming off a heartbreaking loss to Navy that I mentioned in yesterday's video, and I talked about the Navy game. But Air Force could have won that game, ended up losing, tough rivalry game, and now they have to go back home in a conference game versus a team off a bye. They are at home at night, so the crowd should be pretty solid, but Fresno State's had an extra week of scouting and of just preparation. I think that should play a factor. Plus, I still think Fresno State has the best coach in the entire conference. If you look at Jeff Tedford, I mentioned his numbers so far in his Fresno State career. First year, 10-4, lost in the conference championship game, won a bowl game. Next year, went 12-2, won the conference championship, won a bowl game. And this year is 2-2, but this is their first conference game of the season. Fresno State was one of the preseason picks to win the Mountain West once again, and they were projected to play Boise State for the most part in the Mountain West title game, according to all the preseason projections. So now they're getting 3 points in this game, just based on how they performed earlier this year and maybe Air Force being better than anticipated. But if Air Force is actually going to compete for a Mountain West title, which I think they will once again, they have to win this game. And I think that Air Force, after such an emotional loss this past weekend, and the fact that Fresno State has, I'd say that their issue is mostly quarterback play with Jorge Reyna as their quarterback. 7 touchdowns, 3 picks, over 62% completion percentage, but his QBR is not great. But as a whole, Fresno State has a lot of balance. They're averaging roughly 4.5 yards per carry, 6 rushing touchdowns. They throw them for 7. Very balanced attack. Their defense is also very solid. I think that this game should be very close. As everyone knows, Air Force doesn't really like to throw the ball. They typically run the triple option pretty much exclusively. Hammond can throw a little bit, but he's completing less than 50% of his passes. I think Fresno State, with its decent run defense, should be able to force Air Force into some 3rd and longs, and it should be able to potentially win a slugfest here. This game will be low scoring. I think it'll be very close, but give me the better coach in Tedford here. He typically will win these type of conference games, and his conference record with the program right now is 14-2. So I'm not going to go against him, and I will simply take the money line price, as I think that Fresno State should be roughly a plus 1.5, plus 2 underdog. So I think at plus 140, you're getting value. Line originally opened up roughly plus 160. Now it's down to plus 140. Some 3.5s were available. They're all gone now. I think this game should close at roughly 2.5 or 2. So for that reason, the play of the day will be on the Fresno State Bulldogs on the upset money line at plus 140 on FanDuel, and that will be the play of the day. Other than that, though, before we conclude today's video, quick reminder of our sponsor, PointsBet, all on sportsbook in New Jersey. A couple of great deals for you. Up to 2 risk-free bets up to $1,000. If you end up betting on any sports and end up losing, you simply get your money back, which is a great promotion that was more sportsbook could use. Other than that, though, that's going to do it for this installment of Scott's Selections here for Thursday, October 10th. And good luck to all of you and your respective bets today. Bye, everyone.